Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Welcome to the next Wasteless World Talks with Kevin and Bill and myself. We will talk the next term today, and the term today is awareness. And I will start with you, Kevin. If you hear the term awareness, what came first to your mind?
Gathering knowledge. I think in order to be aware, you must be aware of your situation or our situation. So it could be political, it could be economic, it could be social. But it's awareness is about knowing, because once you have enough knowledge, you can see patterns, you can see what's coming or what's not coming.
That's interesting. What about you, Bill?
Awareness is a great word. Good word, thank you. I think of many things. I think of self-awareness, which I personally am still, it's an ongoing journey, my self-awareness. I certainly have not arrived yet. Um, I think of awareness of aware of the world around me, the people, what's going on. So I certainly would agree with Kevin about the knowledge. To me, there's one more step, and that is joining the knowledge of myself and the knowledge of the world around me. Because there are links and there are intersections and there are it's a great word because it means just so many different things.
Thank you for that. What is interesting that originally the meaning in our in Czech language it's completely different. It's generally it is I'm just now checking the another term is subconscious or subconscious
Subconscious, yeah.
exactly, and this is the term which is same as awareness in Czech language, which is quite interesting because it's completely it has completely different meaning. Uh, and we had a noon discussion, which was quite interesting as well, because we came to the awareness. You know, a few days ago, Bill, you are living there. There was this, let's call it inauguration, and a lot of things wake up awareness at that moment. And when I saw some of the speeches, not only the president but Elon Musk and so on, it reminds me strongly on the best movie speech ever, which was The Great Dictator by Charlie Chaplin. And I just put it again on because it is on YouTube. I recommend everyone to listen to this 3 minutes 36 seconds footage. It
Yes.
is so unbelievable accurate for 2025. I was simply crying listening to that because it was so accurate. He spoke about tech people, tech minds. It was, as I said, unbelievable. If I will be the president, the entry of my speech will be this speech because this is something to build on. So, and my question to you, Kevin, do you think that we are born with awareness, or is this something what we have to learn?
I think we're all born with it, but it's something we must develop throughout our lives. Because one thing is for sure is that once we're aware that we're mostly being lied to, we can defend ourselves against it. But if we're not aware and we can't prove it and we can't rationalize it, then we'll just be taken for fools. And so I think awareness is just like in nature, it's an essential talent and tool for survival.
Do you think, Bill, we can lose awareness?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that we need to be with people. We need to keep our ears and our minds open and very easy to lose it if I stop listening to people, or if I think I'm right all the time. Nobody else is right. I'm right. And there are some people out there who are like that. They lose awareness. They shut the door, and they can be in their own little world without awareness happily. So yes.
You know, I just, before we started, I came across the Senator Sanders comment on the inauguration speech. Bernie Sanders. It was very
Bernie Sanders,
interesting.
yes.
Yeah, very interesting comment. Very interesting from my position, and I even included this his speech into the newsletter. But generally, I was thinking, okay, so I checked how many US presidents receive information from me directly, receive information about Industry 5.0. And it has been 4, starting with Barack Obama generally. And twice, of course, it is the current president. But there is a Wikipedia page dedicated to American presidents. And if you look at the picture of the current president, he is not smiling. His official picture is not smiling.
Right.
I was thinking, okay, so, and there are in the Wikipedia page, there are all pictures or paintings of the presidents. That was interesting because only the last presidents are smiling. He is the first one who is not smiling. The first, I think, 33 presidents are not pictured smiling. Interesting finding. Kevin, do you think that we are, because you spoke about somehow in some way education, do you think that we are educated in awareness?
No, not enough. No, not at all, actually. No, I think we're educated to be unaware. We're educated not to question, but we're actually educated not to educate ourselves once we leave school or university. So no, the exact opposite. We're educated not to question, not to doubt, not to look and use our own mind.
Do you agree with that, Bill?
I'm sorry, Kevin. That sounds cynical.
Yeah, it doesn't mean to be.
No, I know yeah. I think to a certain degree we are educated. And when we speak about education, there's education in the schools, there's education that our parents and family give us. Uh, and certainly my family taught us to question from the very beginning. Um, and then there's also the education, self-education. Um, so it comes from different sources. And 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 awareness is so important. When I was growing up, I spent a lot of time in the woods with Boy Scouts and so on. And in the woods, especially in bad weather, you need to be very aware of what's around you and so on. Um, so I would say, to some degree, we are educated to to be aware.
Uh, is awareness somehow connected to the critical thinking and critical reasoning?
Very much so.
And so the term aware and awareness are connected.
I think they're almost synonyms. Kevin, what do you
Yeah, I
think?
think they are. Yeah, aware, be aware, awareness. It's all the same thing.
Because we have last time we have a word which seems to be connected, but there was no connection at all. So this is why I'm asking, because as I said, in Czech, the understanding is very different. So This is why it is so interesting to have this discussion. And I think there is still discussion about awareness and so on. So it's not a lost word. And I think it's even not hijacked, or is it?
It is
No,
in this country a little bit. We have another word that's been hijacked, and it's called woke. Like in the morning, you wake up, past tense is woke. Do you have that in Europe, Kevin?
unfortunately, we do.
Yeah, yeah. And so the word awareness, in fact, one of the things I see in the news this morning is that the new president has asked the Department of Health uh, in the government to put a pause on making any more announcements about uh, uh, food problems, bird flu. There's a regular flow of announcements that they make. Look out for this brand of food, or look out for this, and so on. And they've asked them to put a hold on all uh, announcements like that. Um, and to me, it sounds like, oh, you don't want us to be aware, or oh, you want to make sure that the announcement has the right political spin. It's a very frightening thing that they've asked, um, and so wow, I don't even remember how. Kevin, how did you let me go on like that about something I forgot what we were answering? Give me the question back, please.
I was just thinking about woke. Um, it does the exact opposite of what it claims to do, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that snuck up on us all, and we were all caught unaware until it was too late as to what was really going on.
Yes.
Hmm.
So the word aware is sometimes used as a synonym for woke. And so it is in the process of being hijacked.
Hmm. So we are generally watching the process of hijacking in this case.
Uh, uh, I think so.
We use the term woke culture here, but I don't think that many people know what does it mean. So we do not translate it because if we translate woke itself, then it's to wake up. So this is what say our standard vocabulary. There is probably the new explanation of woke because time to time we hear about woke culture, but I don't think that the people know what they are speaking about generally.
No, I think it's a predominantly Anglo-Saxon problem, um, and it's a subversion of words. It's black doesn't mean black anymore. White doesn't mean white. Nothing means anything except what they decide it should mean, which means it's a kind of self-imposed um, censorship.
Can we?
Yes. Yeah,
Is there?
it's used by the political right to criticize the political left. However, what the left is being accused of is are good human traits, helping other people, feeding the poor, uh, and so on. And the right wants people to fend for themselves. So it's a way of dividing people. I think woke is a good thing. I count myself as in the category of I hope I'm woke. I hope I'm aware. I hope that I am, um, helping people and so on. But when somebody labels me as woke, then I recognize that they're trying to either hurt me or smear me or say a bad thing about it, but I don't take it as a bad thing. So it's yeah, they're playing with words and making and giving them different meanings, and not everybody accepts the meanings. I think I think the woke thing is very confusing for everybody, I suspect. So
You
anyway.
know, I am just now preparing a presentation for next conference, and it is about language. It's called "Be Aware of Language." That's the official name of the presentation. And it's quite interesting if you look at a vocabulary or anywhere else in Wikipedia. What is language? It's generally one of the sentences to describe it is language was established for connecting the people, communication. We have 7,000 languages. It's not about communicate. It's not about connecting people. It's about disconnecting people. In fact, no one of us can speak 7,000 languages, no matter how good we are. And we are not speaking about this special type of language, IT language and engineering language and whatever, this special type of language. So only the official ones are 7,000. So is it really so that it was developed for us to communicate to each other? I slightly doubt about it. And I become aware of it. And this is why I choose the term generally. Because I become aware, okay, they are presenting something, but it's very different. And it's very close to your woke explanation.
I think one interesting thing. No, sorry, Bill.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kevin.
No, go on. I was going to change the subject, so continue.
Well, uh, does it? Yeah. So does it unite people, or does it, disconnect people? And in the Bible, probably in the Old Testament, they talk about the Tower of Babel, and when everybody was speaking the same language and working together, and they built this. They were building this large tower, and I forget who didn't want them to complete the tower, but made each of the different groups have a different language, and so they could not communicate, so they could not finish the tower. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Does it unite us or tear us apart?
Kevin?
I was going to talk about awareness in nature. And there's basically two types of animal in nature. There's the aware and there's the eaten. Nature is so brutal that awareness is such an essential part of survival that if you don't have it, you don't last long.
But it seems like we are coming closer to this, you know. I don't know if you have seen the last test of the robots, and not only the humanoid robots with 2 legs, but even the 4 legs, how fast they can already run. And there in China, the Chinese government is right now, yesterday they announced that they will start a challenge in which a half marathon, so 21 kilometers, humanoid robots will run along with humans. And the winner will get some prize, whatever. It's quite interesting development. And I have seen the first robots walking in the streets of China between the humans. It became somehow, in some way, the standard. So I do wonder if these people are really aware of the possibility of the development. You know, all the time I have this Karel Čapek book in front of my eyes. How exactly he described 100 years ago, 103 years ago, what will happen if the robots will be the one who decide which direction we should go.
I think one thing that's interesting is that if you're in a half marathon with a robot, they're going to have to change the rules of the marathon, because I'm pretty sure the rules say you're not allowed to trip a person up. But of course, a robot isn't a person. So I think the whole concept of fairness and fair play and rules is going to have to be rewritten, the more we start integrating with robots, or the more they start integrating with us.
I will be interested, and I haven't checked this, whether the creators of humanoid robots integrate the 3 laws of robotics in the robot. Because if it's just a machine with a hand, it's generally wide to implement. But if it's a really humanoid robot, if you dress some of this, I will say the sex robots, which looks really, the face is human-like, you will be hardly recognized from some distance. You will not recognize that's not the human. And there already should be some ethical rules implemented. And you are absolutely right. So what are the rules in the sport? So can I kick the robot? And then can the robot kick me?
Yeah. I would definitely kick the robot. I would have no hesitation.
But there is a lot of to be aware of. Do you think it's more than before when we have been kids?
When I was a kid, I didn't realize how many things that I needed to be aware of.
So generally you have to be aware of fire. You have to be aware of bad weather, of wild dogs. But I think there was not the awareness from the society or from the political perspective or some leaders, because automatically they are leaders at that time. And I think it's scaling up the number of things which we have to be aware of, but not sure.
I can understand people's reluctance to be aware of what's going on because it can be fairly dispiriting and disheartening sometimes. But that's more reason to be aware.
And I'm sure there will be a difference between what you have to be aware of as a kid and your wife, Bill or Kevin, generally living in very different countries and locations and so on. So it can be quite interesting to compare this and compare the development. It will be very interesting to see the development of awareness.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, Bill.
So it made me think of I've heard women being told by parents or that you always must be aware, especially if you go into the city or whatever. Be aware of the people around you. Be aware of your surroundings, and that was a safety issue. They didn't tell guys that as much, but now I see everybody, guys and girls walking down the street with their cell phones, interacting with the cell phones, totally oblivious. In fact, that might be the opposite word to awareness is oblivious, totally oblivious to their surroundings. They cross the street with their face in their cell phones, totally oblivious. And somebody could be stalking them or with bad intentions and yet awareness, I think we're going backwards with awareness. I think we're less aware now. The cell phone is one reason, the political stratification is one reason. There's lots of things that are driving us to be less aware today than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yeah, it does. It does. I was thinking that a lot of species, they will make you aware. So the rattlesnake has a rattle for a reason. A wasp is striped black and yellow for a reason. It tells us to beware, to be cautious. But we're not good at reading these signs. You have to say it's And when I was a kid, we put out in the morning and told to be back before it gets dark. And if you come back too late, your dinner will be given to the dog. And so we learned a kind of awareness by being out where you do learn to be careful. Don't fall down this, don't climb up that. Whereas my kids, we took them everywhere in the car, we delivered them to their friend's house, we drove, picked them up, and they're under constant supervision. So they don't have the same opportunity to practice awareness, to generate awareness.
Is the real life or real environment and the digital environment awareness similar or same?
Oh no, oh no. When you're in either walking down the street or hiking in the woods or something, all of your senses are engaged. You hear, you smell, you can smell the forest, you can hear the river, you of course can see it, and as Boy Scouts, we tasted it. We picked the berries and we knew which mushrooms were good and not good, and so you taste it. So you're totally immersed in that. When the digital world with my cell phone is, I can hear it, I can see it, I cannot taste it, I cannot really feel it. Um, you can feel a tree, you can hug a tree if you want. You can feel the cold of the stream, but you can't use these senses in the digital world. So it's a different kind of awareness.
Kevin?
I was just thinking from what Bill was saying that the awareness is knowledge, I think. I don't know if it was the same with you guys, but in England, we had to practice once or twice a year. If there was a nuclear attack, then we had to get under the tables and, not that it was going to do much good, but then we were aware that the world could end tomorrow. This was not a comfortable thing to be aware of, but it was a knowledge that we had. And in Copenhagen until about 10 years ago, every Wednesday at midday, they would set off all the alarms in the city, which would warn of a forthcoming attack, and you had to take up and take shelter. And again, we were all aware that this was a potential that could happen. But I think that these days, we're less aware of things like that. The threats seem to have, well, they're still there, but we're just not as aware of them.
Which is alarming because in many cases, it's much more higher, the threat. So we have here the alarms, we call it the firefighting alarms, sirens. We have it every first Wednesday in the month. It's sounding, so this is the control if they are working generally. But nobody pay attention anymore. We know it is it's indication that it is the first Wednesday or first Wednesday of the month. That's all. I don't think that anybody, including me, knows where is the shelter or anything else. It's just sounding, reminding us of something which we almost or already forgot what to do. And I think this is one of the reasons why maybe, Bill, you are right, that we are less aware currently, as you explained it before. It's quite interesting topic, quite interesting one. Okay, so if we move to another planet, what we will be aware of? Of the dangers which we bring with us, or of the dangers which are there?
Your progress.
I think that of course, our main focus will be on what threatens us rather than the threat that we offer.
We see your mobile, Bill. Yes, we see half of your face right now. But you have two microphones switch on. No, it's fine right now. It's fine. Are you aware of the cold weather, or have you been aware of the cold weather which we talked before? Because right now there should be -15, Kevin, in Bill's house.
Really? Wow. That's something you can't ignore.
No, and you have to be aware of it, or you'll die.
Yeah.
And this is what we don't want to.
Do you have warnings, Bill, not to go out?
No, they do. I'm getting some terrible feedback. I apologize. We do not have the warnings. We do have the sirens, but since we live on the coast, they're sirens to warn us of high tide, or if there's a storm pushing the water in, and they say to move to higher ground. And that's a lot more natural than nuclear bomb sirens.
Do you think that it is, because you explained it, Bill, already, whether it is, let's call it, easier to be aware in nature or to be aware in the digital world? Because in nature we can use all the senses as you describe it. But in the digital world, we cannot touch it. How do I know that it's dangerous? I think that to be aware in a digital space, it's much more harder than in the physical one.
I trust the natural space much more than I trust the digital space.
So is awareness and trust connected? Can you hear me? Yes.
Trust comes from knowledge. And I think that nature has some limits. I may be surprised by some things that I discover under the sea or out in space. But generally, I'm not surprised when I walk through the forest or I walk along the beach. So I trust it. In the digital world, I am continually surprised, and so I don't trust it as much.
You know, I know that it is annoying, this sound, but you sound like God with all this echo right now. So it's the surprise of the digital world. No, it is, at least I have this image like the God is speaking and everybody sound like is the echo. It's very, very similar.
Kevin, do you agree? Do you think I sound like God?
Definitely.
Oh,
Now's the chance. Now's your chance to make a few proclamations of your own.
No.
The good news, we have only 4 minutes left, so.
Actually, I have a really nice unawareness story. And of course, it involves the child. The BBC, in order to stir up bad feelings between the Brits and the Americans, said that the British Prime Minister hadn't been invited to Trump's inauguration. And then they put this out as a tweet or whatever. And some American kid saw this. And he must have been doing his homework, or he'd been in class that day, and they had a lesson about the inauguration. And he just said, actually, no British Prime Minister has ever been invited to an American president's inauguration. And there's a lovely innocence about being unaware.
It is. And in some way, I think this is one of the reasons why the people are maybe losing the ability to be aware of, because it's so convenient. You know, you can say all the time, I was not aware of, sorry. It's easy. And I think this may be one of the reasons. We look for the comfort. We do not want to step out of the comfort zone and so on. So quite interesting awareness or unawareness. You know that on Monday started Davos, the World Whatever Economical Conference. No advertisement before. I was surprised that it's starting. Do you know what was the first?
Did you notice that there was no more caviar in the shop? That had all been bought up.
We have no caviars in general, so I did not notice. But what I would like to say that generally, you know that Industry 5.0 is banned on this event, even the term. But the first interview was about Industry 5.0. It was named by CBS. It was named Industry 5.0. There has been 2 experts which has no idea being interviewed. They spoke only about Industry 4.0, but the name of the interview was Industry 5.0. It was so funny when I discovered it, and for sure they are not aware. What was interesting that these 2 experts generally describe the principles of Industry 5.0. Reuse, utilization of the resources. That was correct. But the terms has been completely wrong. And the name of the interview was completely wrong because there has been not a single one say Industry 5.0. They spoke only about 4.0. So it was quite interesting as well. I enjoyed.
I was thinking about the other day, I was watching this talk about organizations, and someone pointed out that the biggest waste known to man are organizations and bureaucracies. They generate waste on a global scale that nothing else can compete with.
Kevin, check what is how described United Nations the year 2025.
Okay.
Do it. They name all the years by some name. So check 2025. And we have only 1 minute left. So I would like to thank you for your time. It was a great discussion again. Have a nice time free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and speak like God, especially for you. See you.
Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.